News Radio KMAN weather.
Nice sunny skies and 55 degrees currently in Manhattan, with winds gusting to the south around 9 miles an hour. Tonight, cloudy skies and a low of around 29. Patchy fog in the morning on Wednesday, otherwise sunny with a high near 56, with winds that could gust as high as 20 miles an hour in the south. Wednesday night, light rain chance around 20% with a low of around 38, with winds that could gust as high as 30 miles an hour. The game up next on News Radio KMAN.
KMAN Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452.
The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Well, folks, we have confirmed that Mitch Fortner is indeed human, out sick for the second consecutive day. And I'll tell you what, if you would have told me that he's capable of being sick, I might have not believed you straight up. I mean, I think it's the first time that I've worked here that he's been out sick. And that man with a voice of steel, whether he's PAing or doing the Manhattan High football or basketball games, he's here day in, day out. I got that email on Sunday. I couldn't believe my eyes, Toby.
Yeah, I was shocked too. I mean, he's up there with the Bobby Witts of the world. Just never misses a game. Man. Yeah, exactly.
Cole Dutchendorf with you. Toby Hamas to my right with you for a full 2 hours today. Gavin Hyatt across the glass, taking over for Mitch, who is, again, out sick today. And before we get into the show, some really sad news coming across the timeline just about an hour ago. It has been confirmed that Jace Brown will be transferring out of Kansas State. I am devastated, legitimately. I nearly fell to my knees hearing the news, seeing it from Pete Thamel. I saw it on Facebook, and I'm thinking, I've seen some fishy stuff on Facebook before. Seen a lot of AI on Facebook. You know, who knows what is real and what isn't in the swamp that is Facebook. But I saw it was screenshotted from Pete Thamel. So I said, oh crap, this could be real. Let me go over to Twitter, check on Pete Thamel's Twitter account, and sure enough, Jace Brown will be transferring out of Kansas State. And there's definitely a lot of feelings that I have. The biggest one being sadness, because Jace is a beast. He is a fantastic wide receiver. Toby, you and I were talking. If he was back next year, we're talking legitimate K-State records that could have been broken, just given the progression that he has made over the course of his career. But also, you're under Colin Klein again in the Colin Klein offense, and you have no reason to think that that's not going to just explode even further, especially with, year 4 Avery. You have the Avery and Colin Klein connection back. And, it's not like surprising, but also once you actually officially find out, it's just devastating. Hits you like a bag of rocks to the skull.
Yeah, this is a guy that was the best K-State receiver, I think, hands down since Tyler Lockett. I mean, you could argue about Byron Pringle, but I think with Jace Brown, maybe it's more of an argument now, I guess you could say, since Jace won't be staying. But, I mean, Jace Brown was, in my opinion, the best wide receiver K-State had since Tyler Lockett. So it hurts to see him go, and just knowing the impact he could have had with another year with Avery Johnson and just what the potential was for him next year.
And obviously portal hurts way more than declaring for the NFL, which I do think that he is a bona fide future NFL player. I think he is that good. He'll be entering the portal with 1,972 receiving yards, 14 touchdowns, 115 catches. Obviously led K-State with 712 receiving yards. That's with missing a couple of games and being injured in a couple. So he had some fantastic moments against KU that will go down in the Sunflower Showdown history. He torched the Jayhawks this year. The Colorado play will live in my head rent-free for probably the rest of my life, going back to last season. There were some iconic K-State Jace Brown moments. And for him to no longer be on the roster, that's going to be sad. And it's going to be sad to see their wide receiver room next year and you don't see Jace Brown in it.
Yeah, this is a guy that, you mentioned it with all the K-State moments, especially against KU. This is a guy that bled purple. Even though he's from Florida, he came into K-State, came into Manhattan, really embraced the community, what K-State's all about. So I'm happy for him that whatever is next for him, that it should be the right thing for him, but I am sad to see him go.
I truly do wish Jace Brown nothing but the best. And I think he's going to be playing on Sunday someday. It'll be interesting to see. I think there's a definite hole at wide receiver right now on this roster when you look at who's coming back and who will be on the roster moving forward. But transfer portal hasn't come yet, so a lot of work to be done, but there's obviously still an opportunity to do so. Welcome to the game. If I haven't already said welcome, Cole Essador, Toby Hamas to my right. We got a full show today as we didn't have one yesterday. And by the way, next week, I believe only one show on Monday for Wildcat Insiders. So it's going to be a full week. The rest of the week will be here today through Friday, 2 hours every day. We're going to talk to Wyatt Thompson since we didn't get to catch up with him yesterday. That'll actually be here in hour number 1 as he has something later on in the afternoon. So we'll talk to him actually in the next segment at around 4:30. We'll name a Jabroni of the week. We'll also dip our toe into something with jabronis that I'm not too familiar with. And Mitch, it would be, if he was here, it'd be a whole lot better. But we'll go into that. We'll also go over the most recent football news. We'll continue to talk about Jace Brown in hour number 2, but also Buddy Wyatt back on the staff, and also the most recent flip for K-State in the portal. I guess not portal. That's in the recruitment race for 2026. We'll go over injury to insult for the Chiefs this past Sunday, as obviously Mahomes goes down with the ACL and LCL tear. And then very briefly over a big-time K-State women's basketball win at Creighton. They have a winning record going into Big 12 play, and they actually start Big 12 play pretty soon. But first things first, and obviously a sad start to the show, but there was some joy in Omaha on Saturday. And Gavin, I actually want to go to you for this because you were there. K-State on the road, and they've been pretty slow starting some games this season. That was not an issue on Saturday.
Complete opposite. I mean, it was an Abdi homecoming game. I mean,
yeah.
What a start. I mean, first of all, great coming in. There's a decent amount of purple there. I mean, splashes of purple all around the arena. It's a pretty big arena. And so you go there and, Abdi's starting out with 4 or 5 threes to start the game. I'm like, wow, is this going to continue? And sure enough, I mean, the first half, what was it, 11 threes?
11 of 17 from 3 in the first half.
McGriff hitting threes for Piek.
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on here? This is not human for them usually. And so, I mean, great start of the first half. I mean, I know you'll go into it, but I mean, yeah, it was a great game and obviously a great road run for the Cats.
And I assume, I mean, you're from Omaha.
Yeah.
You probably, and I think you mentioned you were a Creighton guy growing up.
I actually was.
I'm sure you've been to a few Creighton games.
Yeah, so my dad graduated from Creighton.
Okay.
And so he kind of started getting season tickets when he married my mom, and then, they've had it for 15 plus years probably. And so, I kind of grew up going to games. We would have tickets for the whole family and go there. And so, yeah, I definitely was a Creighton fan. But then going to K-State, I couldn't root for both. I had to pick one side, and especially when it came to this game, it was all right, I'm going for K-State, obviously. There's no way, my parents were in purple. I had some few friends, or my parents were in Creighton gear. My friends were in purple, and it was kind of that rival, going in with, between me and my
It's like
family.
The house divided, license plates that you see.
Yeah, and I was just going crazy every time. Obviously, in the first half, I mean, I was just bragging the whole time. Yeah, and then obviously bragging at the end of the game. But, yeah, it was kind of cool. I guess for me, it was a homecoming for me, I guess.
Yeah, it was.
It's coming back there, but yeah, it was a great experience.
You said it. Abdi was ready in his hometown. I don't know if he ever played Creighton when he was at Monmouth, but I'll tell you what, he was ready for that one. You could tell he was pretty amped up in that first half, and really the entire game. Just the energy, and not only him, the entire team, the energy that they had was fantastic. Abdi is truly one of the best shooters in the country. There is no doubt about that fact. He's shooting I had to look this up. I didn't even believe it. He's shooting basically 47% from 3 right now. He's 41 of 88 on the season. He had 6 of them against Creighton, 6 of 12. 47% from 3 on a lot of them per game is absurd.
Yeah, and to answer your question, Abdi said after the game it was the first time he'd played in Omaha since his junior year of high school, I believe. So long time coming for him to be back in Omaha playing basketball. And yeah, he was ready to go, ready to roll. Forget where I was going next with that, but Man.
I'll pick you up because one area that was so funny on watching the highlights back was every time that Abdi got a good look, Coach McDermott, just the face that he had every time Abdi got a good look was, here we go again. I mean, there was some serious exasperation, and the one that I remember that sticks out to me the most is, I think it was a second chance point. It was a long rebound, maybe off another missed three, and there is no one even within 10 feet of Abdi. And this is already after he's hit 4, I think, in the first half. He lines it up, and Coach McDermott is on the far baseline, and he just puts it's a face bomb. He puts his head in his hands, and before he even shoots it, basically before Abdi even has the ball, but he knows it was going in, and I think everyone in the arena knew that ball was going in. Abdi was fantastic in that first half. Just the entire team was fantastic in the first half. The energy on the offensive side of the floor, but also defensively. I mean, you held Creighton to 32% from the field, 5 of 15 from 3. They were pretty good on both ends of the floor, really, in that first half.
Yeah, and going back to where I lost my train of thought, it was I want to say, third time's the charm for the best shooter in America, because, Tang called it first with Tyler Perry, then Brendan Housen, and now finally third time's the charm.
You might actually be the best shooter in the country.
I feel like we got it right with Abdi.
He is fantastic. But again, offense was clicking. You mentioned it, Gavin. You saw the Rapig 3 go down. You saw the Kamari 3 go down. I think that's the first 3 he's taken.
Yeah, it's
this
the first
season.
3 he's taken. Yeah,
and you're like, okay, we might win by 500 because it's just the net it's just a boat wide right now. Like, they could physically not miss if they tried shooting. I mean, talk about 64% from 3 on 17 attempts. That's pretty special. David Castillo, of course, got in the mix, and we'll circle back to David because his ability to close that game was fantastic. But moving on, even Nate Johnson was getting involved. There was the one, when I really knew that this team had it, was late in the shot clock. Nothing going offensively. Nate says, all right, may I have this dance? Step back 3, drains it. You're like, okay, this could get dangerous. This might be a blowout in Omaha. Mentioned defense wasn't that bad, holding Creighton to 32% from the field in the first half, 33% from 3. I thought they did. It wasn't like Creighton was missing a ton of open looks. I thought it was pretty decent in terms of rallying to the ball. Help side defense was better, I thought, in this game. They were just playing more connected as a defensive unit. You get into the second half, you could feel the energy shift once Nate missed the layup. It was the steal. He ripped it off the inbounds play and then missed the layup on the fast break. It was kind of a weird angle. He was coming in from a little bit wider than normal, and full-speed layups are deceptively tough to hit sometimes. There was a guy behind him, so maybe hearing some footsteps. And right after that, back-to-back threes for Creighton cut the lead to 11. Timeout by Coach Tang, and that was still with 17 minutes to go. Like, there was a ton of time, and already, in my head, I'm thinking,
here we go again.
Here we go again. This could be, and it's not like K-State has blown a ton of leads this season, but just for them to be playing so well in the first half, and then just kind of all of a sudden you look up and it's at what was one point a 24-point lead or something like that. Okay, so a 20-point lead at one point in the second half, and then 2 quick threes, and it's down to 11 already. So I honestly thought they were cooked. I didn't know if they had it in them to fend that off, and then to come back, and it was kind of up and down for the next 10 minutes or so. It stayed within that 6 to 14 point range where Creighton would go on a run, and then K-State would, to their credit, go on a run of their own and get the lead back in hand. They steadied the ship, and then you flash forward to under 3 to play. It gets cut to 3. And the Omaha crowd, they're starting to get into it. Can you attest? Was it pretty live in there?
Yeah, it was pretty live. It wasn't sold out, but it was definitely, 15,000 plus for sure.
And you could tell it. The energy was rising. And I mentioned we'd circle back to David Castillo. David with the first layup that cut the bleeding, put it back to 5. That was, in my eyes, probably the biggest shot of the game for K-State. That was huge to limit the damage. You're talking about Creighton could go down and tie in the way that they were shooting it in the second half. 7 of 17 from 3, and it felt like they started 7 of 10. You felt pretty bad about the fact that they can go down here and get another 3, because that's the other thing. The K-State defense certainly wasn't as connected in the second half. They were getting Creighton much better looks. I don't know if it was because Creighton was just getting into their action a little bit better, more consistently, but whatever the case, they were getting fantastic looks basically every trip down the floor. But instead, David limits the bleeding, gets that layup, another stop for K-State, and then David this one doesn't even get talked about as much, but the assist that he had to Kamari McGriff,
Splitting the defenders.
he put it in a shoebox. He put it in the exact right place, and as you mentioned, getting by the first wave of Creighton defense, and then to put it up there for Kamari. And by the way, Kamari had some big minutes and points down the stretch as well. I think he had 4 in the last couple of minutes of the game. So overall, I thought the resolve that this team showed, it was definitely encouraging given what we've seen the last couple of weeks. And they weren't even in games. They were just getting blown out. But for them to have that big lead, give it away basically. They weren't ever trailing in that second half, but from 20 points down all the way to 3, and you don't have any panic. You just reset, and David Castillo, huge buckets down the stretch, huge just control of the game, and they're able to pull out with a much-needed victory.
Yeah, I felt like it was the tail of the season kind of in one game. You start off hot, you start off shooting super well, everyone's getting excited, everyone's seeing, oh, this is what K-State's all about, and then you regress to the mean. And you don't expect K-State to regress to the mean as hard as they did and as quick as they did in that second half, but man, it just kind of felt like the season as a whole, because you start off, you get all that excitement built up, and then you just crash. You kind of crash and burn there in that second half, but the guy that's there to save K-State is David Castillo, and I feel like that's kind of a theme for this season. Is not necessarily David Castillo the savior, but he's been a guy that's been a light in the darkness, I guess, of this season. When the season's been at its worst, you can still look to David Castillo as like a bright spot for this team.
Even through those first couple of losses, you're like, well, hey, at least David's playing really well. Right. David showed up to play against Bowling Green. I think he had like 22, something in that ballpark against Bowling Green. And Gavin, you had something to say.
Yeah, I was just saying one thing. We haven't even mentioned PJ Haggerty, and it's like a great thing to say, I guess, because, PJ's going to get the ball at the end of the game. He's going to, do his thing. And, like, we have another guy, David Castillo, coming in and, carrying that load and coming off the bench. And I think it just shows, like, the unselfish play of this team. I mean, even Tang mentioned post-game about, Abdi was supposed to check in, get his substitution, their substitutions in, and Castillo hit a couple buckets, and Bashir's like, no, I'll just go to the bench coach. Like, he's cooking right now. Like, let him do his thing. I think it just shows, like, unselfish play. And PJ Haggerty, did score in double figures, but, it was kind of easy layups there. And I think it's just something to add on to this Cats team that, they have a lot of scores in this team. And I think it's a bright spot for sure, and especially with Castillo coming off the bench and just giving that spark that he definitely gave in Creighton.
And I think you have the ability to be more consistent offensively when you don't need PJ to go for 30 a night. And one thing that I thought PJ did great was even when shots weren't falling for him, whereas earlier in the season, I think he's pressed a little bit, where he's tried a little bit too hard to get himself going offensively and come up with, 4 or 5 turnovers in a game. He didn't really do that. He only took 12 shots, which 4 of 12, 33%, not great, but also you're not complaining a ton about that. He only had the 1 assist, but he also only had 2 turnovers. So for him to kind of stay within the flow of the game, he didn't press. He wasn't taking, ill-advised shots. I thought he did a great job, whereas some of the other games, it has felt like, and part of it was Abdi was hitting, David was hitting, there was a lot of help around him. It's felt like maybe PJ has gone 1 versus 5, not actually on the floor, but just kind of that mentality of, I need to create for this team. And at points this season, he's had to, because there hasn't been Abdi hitting 6 threes and David having 19 points. But in this game, other guys stepped up. That allows PJ to play more within the rhythm of the game. And I thought, even though he only had the what? It was 10 points that PJ had tonight, and that might be his season low. I'm not sure where that ranks among it. I mean, he was leading the nation in scoring within the last couple of games, but he just felt like he played within the flow of the game, and that helped K-State in the long run.
After one of David Castillo's earlier breakout games this season, Tang said he's a great player right now, and he's going to be the future point guard 1 for Kansas State. And in that Creighton game, he became the point guard 1 in that game. He had to take over because PJ Haggerty just wasn't really working for him. What is normal, just drive to the basket, get fouled, get shots up. That wasn't working for PJ, but it was working for David Castillo. And David Castillo and PJ, to his credit, recognized that, and Tang in the end putting David in the ball game to get K-State the win. I think that was huge for both of them, just to recognize that David Castillo could be K-State's point guard 1 in that moment.
David Castillo with 6 points in the final 2 minutes. K-State wins that one 83-76, and what I felt like was a must-win, because you look at the rest of their non-conference. South Dakota is terrible. Louisiana Monroe is terrible. So if you didn't pick up that win, you move to 6-5. It was what they would have been at. That would have felt terrible for going into Big 12 play. And by the way, it's go time immediately for K-State in Big 12 play because you're home against BYU to start the season, and then at Arizona. That's both teams top 9 in KenPom, both teams top 6 in net. All right, when we come back, voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson here on the game.
This poor man is crying. Why? He missed the game. You know, you can always check out the game podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and at newsradiokman.com.
Whether it's game day or a night out with great live music, Bottle Cap Sports Bar delivers the atmosphere you're looking for. It's Manhattan's go-to spot for catching every Wildcats or Chiefs game and enjoying live music that plays the songs you actually know. Come early for a good seat, great music, and cold drinks served up right. Stay in the loop. Check out their Facebook page for the full schedule of events. Bottle Caps, where the music's live, the game's always on, and the vibe is just right.
Bottle Cap Sports Bar located on West Anderson across from Dairy Queen.
Change begins in the light within.
Enter the mystery January 31st. Light MHK presents The Light Within, a Phantom's Ball for Change. Beneath the masks and chandeliers lies a greater purpose, raising funds for those who need mental health care and hope. Bid in the live and silent auctions and let your generosity light the way. Find your mask, find your light, find your tickets at lightmhk.com. That's lightmhk.com. Presented by Manhattan Broadcasting and Light MHK.
At ESB Financial, we think it makes sense to pay you. That's right, get paid 5.04% annual percentage yield on balances up to $20,000 with our free Kasasa Cash checking account. We'll even refund your ATM fees nationwide, and the best part is there's no monthly service charges or minimum balances to keep. All you have to do to earn your rewards are a few simple things each month. The best part? These things make banking easier. Visit esbfinancial.com to learn more. Special terms may apply. ESB Financial, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hi, this is Carrie Hall. My wife Lauren and I are senior citizens like many of you. We've had a Blue Cross and Blue Shield Medicare policy for the last 10 years. Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement plans all across Kansas, with many with zero or very low premium. Call today at 866-692-3077 or online at bcbskansas.com. We pride ourselves on being your hometown carrier. We're Main Street, not Wall Street.
Not available in Wyandotte or Johnson County.
Take a trip down memory lane with the smell of Grandma's delicious home cooking. The Friendship House will have your taste buds watering with our delicious breakfast every day of the week. Try our French omelets, Belgian waffles, biscuits and gravy, and more. Hi, this is Jake Trumer, head chef at the Friendship House. We serve hot breakfast every day of the week. Don't forget to come in for lunch and try our juicy gourmet burgers or deli sandwiches served on our delicious homemade bread. Home cooking that's as good as Grandma's, if not better. Just follow the Eldrick Road to the Friendship House at 507 Ashton, Wamego.
Do you think you've been discriminated against at work or when applying for a job? Call the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission anytime, any day at 800-669-4000. It's unlawful for an employer to harass you or treat you differently because of race, color, sex, national origin, age, religion, pregnancy, or disability. The law also protects you against retaliation for complaining about discrimination. Again, the number to call is 800-669-4000. Equality at work, your right, EEOC's job.
The Ramsey Show.
How do I protect myself from inheriting a timeshare?
So basically a timeshare is a liability. It's a bill. So you're not going to end up owning this because you won't sign the transfer papers. They may take some of the parents' assets because it's very hard to get rid of. And one lawyer calls it legalized fraud. You can't give us enough money to take it. It's a poison pill.
Life and money advice. The Ramsey Show, weekdays from 10 to 1 on News Radio KMAN.
I'm Gavin Hyatt with the Game Sports Update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. K-State wide receiver Jace Brown will enter the transfer portal, Pete Thamel announced on Tuesday afternoon. The star wide receiver has racked up nearly 2,000 yards in his time with the Wildcats, as well as 14 touchdowns on 115 catches. His 712 receiving yards led K-State in the 2025 season. K-State football head coach Colin Klein announced that Buddy Wyatt will be retained on staff to coach the defensive line ahead of the 2026-27 season. Wyatt, who has been at K-State since 2019, has had 3 players receive Big 12 Defensive Lineman of the Year honors during his time with the Wildcats. For the second time during the 2026 recruiting cycle, K-State has flipped an Iowa State commit on the gridiron. Hailing from Pratt, Kansas, tight end Arlie Morrell has committed to the Wildcats. On3 has Morrell listed as a 10th best player from the Kansas and the 66th best tight end overall. He held offers from Arizona, Iowa State, Colorado State, and more. Morrell is commitment number 25 in K-State's 2026 recruiting class. K-State volleyball added a Kansas native to the roster out of the portal. Camden Stuckey, who is from Mays, Kansas, spent the last 2 seasons as Tennessee, where she saw limited action thanks to 1 redshirt season and injury in the 2025 season. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes underwent successful surgery Monday night in Dallas to repair the torn ACL in his left knee.
Toby, I don't know if you saw this, but earlier today, the portal gained a legend. Georgia State quarterback TJ Finley plans to enter the NCAA transfer portal. The former LSU, Auburn, Texas State, Western Kentucky, and Tulane quarterback is filing an NCAA waiver for a 7th year of eligibility.
Wow.
And it'll be his 7th transfer, 7th time in the transfer portal.
I mean, you see stories about people who couldn't stay out of high school and then did the same thing in college, so that they've switched schools like 8 times in that sense. But man, to do that all with colleges, that's impressive.
But no, we can't get Kennedy Taylor a waiver year.
Yeah.
Give me a break, NCAA. Something you got to feel like at some point something's got to be fixed a little bit for the portal. I mean, when you hear stories like that, it's a little bit out of hand, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you said that name, and I was wondering where you're about to go with this. I'm like, who the heck is that? But man, the NCAA's got to figure it out. I feel like that's just beating a dead drum at this point, but the NCAA has to figure it out.
We're now joined by voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson. And did you hear about that, Wyatt? There's a quarterback out of Georgia State who is entering the transfer portal for the 7th time this year.
You know, I did see that. Actually even had a buddy text me about that earlier today, and I just wrote him back and said, "Welcome to Major College Football in 2025." That's what this is now, right? I mean,
it really is.
It's a year-to-year thing, and it's frustrating, I think, for all fan bases. But you know, until they start getting serious about making some changes, I think we're going to continue to talk about this and deal with it for sure.
I got to ask you, Wyatt, have you caught your breath from the wild month of November and the wild first couple of weeks of December?
I would say yes, for the most part. It really was a pretty interesting ride in what we call in the broadcasting business, as you know, the crossover season. And I think in part not only because of what happened in football with Chris Kleiman stepping away and then the quick turn to get Colin Klein hired, but also, it's been a little while from my perspective, at least, to see Kansas State play not only a couple of games in Kansas City in basketball, but also have, like a road trip to Bloomington, Indiana, and another one to Omaha, Nebraska. So that's I think kind of added to it also. It's been fun. It's been trying. Emotional at times, especially with the Kleiman and Klein thing. But I feel I feel like everybody is excited about moving forward with football with Colin, and basketball got a big win in Omaha on Saturday. So all good right now.
And that's where we'll go next. It was a huge win for K-State on Saturday. How important was it for them to hold it down at the end of that game and pick up a much-needed victory?
It's hard to even put into perspective how big it could potentially be. I felt like this group needed one like that, where you can say what you want about how well they played in the first half and blew a 20-point lead or whatever, but to still find a way when they closed the gap into single digits early in the second half, and when the game got to be a real grind and a tough game late over the last 5 or 6 minutes, and K-State proved to be the better team there, I think it gives these guys some confidence. They've really been, from what Coach Tang has said, a really fun team to coach and watch grow. And yet, in the same breath, he says, there's so much more to them, and the ceiling is higher than most would maybe realize. So I think they walked away with a much-needed win, and you could tell they were thrilled about it. And yet I think they see that there's still a lot of room for growth, whether it's rebounding, defensive end, those types of things. I thought they took a pretty good step in winning that game, frankly.
Yeah, Wyatt, this is Toby filling in today for Mitch. What stood out to me and Cole, we were talking about this earlier, is David Castillo. Just all season, he's really just emerged as a weapon for K-State this year. I wanted to get your opinion or thoughts on when was the last time you saw someone make such a big jump from one year to the next, whether that's production or just skill. Just when was the last time you saw a K-State player make that kind of jump in 1 year?
Well, good to talk to you first and foremost, but secondarily, it's a great question because in all honesty, it is something that I haven't really thought about, from freshman to sophomore year. Let me give that some thought, but I think I would say, without giving it a lot of thought, those guys that come to mind right away are guys like Jacob Pullen, Barry Brown, Kamau Stokes, those kind of guys. But I was mentioning in another interview today with David and just how much more confident he is now. Guys, he's been really good in his last 4 games. He's had back-to-back games of 19 points. He made 7 of 11 shots Saturday, was also 2 of 4 from the three-point line, but it's more than that. When I talked a little while ago about the game being in the balance and K-State being the better team in the last 5 or 6 minutes, he was a major factor why. And going to get buckets, the drive that he made where he brought the defense towards him and threw that little lob to Kamari, I don't know that we would have seen that consistently a year ago. And the strength has helped him too. And here's a blunt statement. I think he's got more guys around him that are threats to score, and that helps too. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned Jacob Pullen. I was talking to Cole about this earlier, that Jacob Pullen said when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame that if anyone was capable of touching Jacob Pullen's scoring record, he said David Castillo could be the guy.
Well, Jacob's a smart guy, and he's been through a lot. He's played basketball for a long, long time, and I don't think you have to be a talent scout to see that David has abilities. And now you put a little bit of maturity with that and just his efforts. He wants to be, one of the main factors. I thought it said a lot about him here recently, too, when he started there for a couple of games, and it really didn't click necessarily. I think K-State was exposed a little bit when he started, that the lineup was maybe a little bit too small, and they go back to Elias Rapiak, and I think it helped him. And for a guy to do that in this day and age, I think says a lot about just who he is and what he's about. I know he wanted to be a better basketball player this year. He and I have talked about that, and he spent a ton of time with Phil, the strength and conditioning coach, in the summer and just shooting the ball in the gym and that. I think we all knew, didn't we, that he was a better shooter than what we saw last year, but he lost confidence early. He's gained confidence this time.
Voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson, is our guest. Wyatt, this might just be another David Castillo question. It was, who has impressed you the most so far this season on the court?
Oh, well, he would be in the mix. I'll be honest and tell you that. But I also have to throw a couple of other names out there because, you can't not be impressed with PJ and his ability to score, right? Abdi's ability to shoot the long ball. I don't know if most people realize that Abdi is shooting 47% from three.
It's ridiculous.
Nate Johnson's shooting 41%. I would tell you too to try to notice what Kamari has done of late, and for that matter, Doreen Buka. Buka doesn't get the same minutes, but the last couple of games, I mean, he's had a game of 5 points, 5 rebounds, 5 blocks, and this game at Creighton, in 11 minutes, he had 5 points and 5 rebounds. So I think there's a lot that you can throw out there. I would even tell you that CJ's been better of late in very limited time. He played 7 minutes on Saturday, which isn't very much. And let me look at my chart. I think he's only playing about 16 minutes a game. But he's a good enough athlete to help this team, in particular on the defensive end and with some depth. So I don't think there's just, the easy thing would be to say Castillo or PJ because he's such a scorer, but I think they've all gotten better, and I do believe this team has more talent, more depth, and frankly more chemistry than the one we saw a year ago.
And now you look at the schedule, you got 2 more games that, K-State should be able to take care of business in theory against South Dakota and Louisiana Monroe. And then you look at the first 2 games of the Big 12, and it's BYU coming to town, and then it's a road test at Arizona. It gets really tough really early.
Really a reality check, isn't it? I was looking at that earlier, a couple, 2 or 3 days ago, and I was doing an outline with BYU, and I'm typing and I'm looking at their group, and I'm saying, golly, this team is so talented and so deep. And then you peek around and you look at Arizona and you look at Iowa State and teams like that too. I mean, it's going to be what it's going to be. You got a BYU team who's ranked 10th in the top 10 in the country coming in on January 3rd to start conference play, and then you're out basically for multiple days to play twice at Arizona, who's the number 1 ranked team in the country in one poll. And are they number 1 in both now?
They might be.
I don't remember that. Yeah, I know they are in the AP. I didn't look at the coaches. But then you've got Arizona State, and nobody's talking about them, and few people are talking about Oklahoma State, but both of those teams are really improved too. So the league's going to be it's going to be really good.
Talk about getting baptized by fire for this squad, and Big 12 play is just brutal this year. It feels like it's as good as it ever has been. Voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson, is our guest. A couple of questions on the gridiron for you. When the staff departures were announced last week, were there any specific surprises with the coaches who will not be returning for this upcoming season?
Well, I'd be lying if I said no surprises, because I mentioned in a couple of other interviews too that I've really tried hard to not look at it like who's going to go, who's going to stay, and why. Because sometimes, with the new coach, you don't know who he has in mind for a spot or a couple of spots or 3 or 4 spots that we don't know about. But with all of that said, okay, I'm not surprised that he kept Buddy Wyatt. I think I would tell you that I was a little surprised that Joe Klanderman wasn't retained, just because I know that Colin worked with him somewhat. But in talking to Joe personally, I remember him saying to me after all of this was going down, I said, boy, I hope you have a chance to remain and be a part of this. And he said, well, I do too, but, he said, I've had a good run and probably longer than most with Kleiman. And, at some point, I'm probably going to have to do something different anyway. And I think it's turned out really well for him. And I think that's what I would say, that, you just want those guys to land on their feet,
for sure.
And I think all of them are going to do that. But with all of that said, I guess I'll add this too. I'm so excited for Colin and what he's doing, at least up to this point. And, as good as he is, you never know, honestly, if his number 1 choice at every spot is going to be that person, right? So there's some give and take on both sides, I guess, is the point. And it's, sometimes you have to make some really hard decisions, and that's just the nature of the coaching. And I think, frankly, all of those guys understand that. All of them have been around quite a while, or at least most of them, and that's just part of the gig.
Last question for you, Wyatt, and I'll let you go. Family business has been one of the themes of the Klein era so far, and you've seen that in some of the staff hires. Continuing to talk about staff hires, I think there was one of those pickups who I believe your broadcasting partner is pretty familiar with, and then Trey Scott. What are something that those two guys bring to the table?
Well, I'm really happy for Stanton Weber because, he's still a pretty young man, but he's worked with some really good special teams people. Whether you start with Sean Snyder and, that side of it, or whether Shane Beamer in his time at South Carolina, and then the job he did on his own, basically, at Toledo. I mean, and that was basically a 3-year run. So I think he's kind of one of those guys, too, that people are going to notice, and I think he will do a really good job here. He's good at what he does. He's exceptionally driven. He's very, very much a person that loves Kansas State, so I think Colin made a good call there on bringing him back home. And I know I've texted with Stanton and talked to Stan about it, and that their whole family's just as excited as you can possibly imagine, and I think we all understand it. Those other guys, I don't know them quite as well, but looking at some of that stuff and the resumes and that, you have to be pretty impressed. And all of these guys are probably going to be, young people that will impress you over time, just based on what they've done in a relatively short period already.
Well, thanks for taking some time.
Perfect example of that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say thanks for coming on and talking with us today. We appreciate it a ton.
You got it, partner. Great talking to you guys. Thanks.
Yep. See ya. Voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson, here on The Game. When we come back, it won't be Mitch naming the Jabroni of the Week, but we'll try to fill in his absence. Jabroni of the Week next on News Radio KMAN.
Your home for K-State sports.
Uh-oh, he's got space! Oh! Slingshot game winner, Jacob Pullen!
This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
In Manhattan, building community means more than bricks and beams. It means innovation and partnership. At McCown Gordon Construction, we deliver feature-focused solutions to projects that shape our region. From advanced research labs to vibrant education, healthcare, and community hubs. We're not just building projects, we're building the future of the Flint Hills with unmatched customer experience and value-driven strategies. We're building for tomorrow. Visit kansas.mccown-gordon.com.
Central National Bank reminds you to be hyper-vigilant about scams. You don't want to lose your entire holiday gift budget to fraud. If you do find a suspicious transaction, come into any Central branch. Your holidays will be happier and Christmas will be merrier if you keep your money away from scammers.
Central National Bank, money for life.
Member FDIC, money for whatever since 1884.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Since 2017, 7 Heisman Trophy winners transferred at least once before lifting that most iconic trophy. There's no coincidence anymore. It's a blueprint. And with the transfer portal now operating at full speed, there's every reason to believe that trend will continue. Just look at last month. Former 4-star quarterback Aiden Childs left Michigan State. Sam Leavitt moved on from Arizona State. Former 5-star DJ Lagway, he exited the swamp. Dylan Raiola, he said goodbye to Nebraska. 4 blue-chip quarterbacks all making the same calculated bet that with the right system, right coach, and they'll have the right opportunity. Transferring doesn't guarantee stardom, though, but history tells us when elite talent aligns with the right fit, the payoff can be enormous. College football used to reward patience. Now it rewards precision. One of these quarterbacks will not just change a season, he might change a program or the sport. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagal, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
For area high school scores, recaps, league standings, and coach interviews, check out Scoreboard Saturday at 8 a.m. during football and basketball season, including coverage of the Centennial League, NCKL, Big East League, Flint Hills League, and the Twin Valley League. Scoreboard Saturday on News Radio KMAN is powered by WTC Communications.
News Radio KMAN weather.
55 and sunny skies currently in Manhattan with light breezes to the south around 9 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies with a low of around 29. Wednesday, patchy fog in the morning, otherwise sunny with a high near 56, with winds that could also gust as high as 20 miles an hour. Wednesday night, cloudy skies and a low of around 39, with winds gusting to the south around 10 to 15 miles an hour, then gusting as high as 30 miles an hour in the south.
You're close. Make sure it's in there for the podcast listeners. We can come back with Jabroni. There we go. Well, we're back on the game. That's you got to give Gavin a little bit of slack. It's his first time running Jabroni of the week. I know the first time I did it, I was looking all over the board trying to find where that button was. So we got there eventually. That's all that matters. 3 dishonorable mentions and 1 Jabroni of the week, as per usual. We got some audio clips to play today for a couple of them as well. We're going to start with someone that I think was pretty universally, maybe not universally, but overall liked for the most part until maybe this season and maybe just this past weekend. Diego Pavia, obviously the Vanderbilt quarterback who I think with his the stuff that he's done after losing the Heisman to Fernando Mendoza has tanked a little bit of his likability and a lot of bit of his likability, to be honest. He was the scrappy underdog, the quarterback helping take Vanderbilt to heights it's basically never seen before, the JUCO kid who was doing things on a national stage, fighting for all JUCO kids across the nation. Shout out to Uso Sayamalu. And then there's 3 things that he did after losing the Heisman. Posting on his Instagram, F all the voters immediately after losing. Partying with a sign that said blank Mendoza after Fernando obviously winning the Heisman. This was during an after party. And then a potential ChatGPT apology on Twitter. There were the classic M dashes in that apology tweet. I think he's crossed the line from confident to cocky, and that has been put on national display over last weekend.
Yeah, you hit the nail, or you hit the nail, hammer on the nail?
Something like that. Head on the nail. Nail on the head. Nail on the head.
Nail in the coffin?
Nail in the coffin. Something like that.
You got it right there regardless. But yeah, a fan favorite, someone that was pretty easy to root for, like you mentioned, an underdog. And then, man, just to go out and do what he did on social media, just you can't excuse it.
And you got to wonder if there was some potential draft stock that was impacted by some of those behaviors. Well, I don't know if he was going to be like a huge NFL-type guy anyways, but what little there might have been taking a bit of a slide. This next one is one that I really wish Mitch was here to fully do justice to this, because I will be the first to admit to you, I don't know a whole lot about wrestling. I don't really pay attention to it, but I do know this was big over the weekend. WWE's conclusion to John Cena's legendary wrestling career. That's my dishonorable mention. WWE / Triple H. If Mitch is listening, he can text me and let me know if I'm doing it right over here. John Cena's wrestling career came to its conclusion over the weekend in a shocking way as he tapped out for the first time in 20 years. Here were the fans in the arena as Triple H, the chief content creator of the WWE, embraced John Cena after the bout. Not too happy. A lot of boo birds coming out for Triple H. In a post-match interview, Triple H said that he will do what is right for the business. Again, we'll have to get Mitch's reaction to this, but it seems deeply unsatisfying to me to see John Cena go out like this. And again, I know squat about wrestling.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I got nothing for you.
My last dishonorable mention, Kirk Herbstreit, who complained about there not being any football to watch on Saturday. America's game was on television, Kirk. We got Army-Navy. We also had a legitimate bowl game, Washington and Boise State. That's not like a throwaway, like one of the bowl games this week. That's a legitimate bowl game. And then throw the FCS playoffs in there if you would like. He's just doing what ESPN has paid him to do. ESEC-SPN is the more accurate representation. He's the third dishonorable mention. And then finally, we're going to play a clip, and then we're going to react to it for a few minutes.
We're not looking for a Cinderella. Nobody cares in football about James Madison or the equivalent of George Mason going. Didn't George Mason go to the Final Four or something like that? Nobody cares in football about that. We don't want Cinderellas. We want the best teams playing each other at the end. In fact, hot take. I mean, like the hottest of all takes that I've ever had in my entire life. The NCAA basketball tournament is a joke. It's the dumbest tournament and the least fair tournament in all of sports. We go and we put teams at odd times on neutral sites in a one game affair. Like that doesn't crown a true champion. We're not doing anything that tells us who's the best team over the course of the entire season. Like if anything, the NCAA basketball tournament should act exactly like the old World Cup, which we should have groups. They should all get guaranteed 3 games, and they should be played at the higher seeds arena so that those seeds are rewarded for a quality game. And that way we don't just get to see Kentucky one and done against George Mason or something like that. Well, that's stupid. That's stupid. Again, hottest of all takes, but that would make the NCAA basketball tournament far better. Neutral site, one and dones? What are we doing?
There's a reason it's a hot take. It's because that's the most utterly ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, what are we doing?
Can we pull up the Boo soundtrack back on?
Yeah, you're 100% right. Boo this man. Joel Klatt is a clown. And the upsets are what makes March Madness March Madness. I mean, you go back to last year when you had basically scratch. It was just everyone was, or not scratch, chalk. It was chalk basically all the way through. It was a pretty boring March Madness. You just had all the 1 seeds beating everyone. That's not fun. I want to see St. Peter's go into March Madness and beat Kentucky. I want to see UMBC beating 1 seed Virginia. I want these upsets. And for Joel Klatt, it's the most jabroni statement maybe ever made.
I was hoping you put this one in there because I was like, that when I heard that, my buddy literally texted me before the show. He's like, "Did you see what Joel Klatt said?" I was like, "Yeah, I saw it. It might be the dumbest sports take I've ever seen." Because March Madness, I mean, can we agree that it's like one of the greatest sports event in?
It's so good.
Yeah,
it's cinema, and part of why it is because you have the underdogs every single tournament going up against the powerhouses. Where else do you see that? You got Norfolk State taking down number 2 Missouri. You have these kind of matchups that you don't see in any other scenario. So Joel Klatt is a clown, and thank goodness he is just a football talking head, because if I had to hear his take on one more basketball thing, I think I would lose my mind.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I'm a football guy first and foremost, but I love March Madness. I mean,
it's the best month of the year, baby.
Yeah, it's right up there with the Masters and all those other great events.
Ridiculous. So he is your, I think, very much deserving jabroni of the week. It's Joel Klatt. All right, we got a busy hour 2 still to come here on The Game. Injury to insult for the Chiefs on Sunday. Some more football news we'll again go over. If you haven't heard, Jace Brown going to be transferring out of K-State. Quickly go over K-State women's basketball and then land the plane hopefully here this afternoon. That's all still to come in hour 2.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the game.
You, my friend, are in the game on News Radio KMAN.
At the game!
Happy holidays! Manhattan Broadcasting and the following local businesses would like to wish you and yours a season of joy and holiday cheer.
The Feldkamp's Furniture family wishes you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. With 50 years of local love, they thank you for being a part of it.
Spread the joy this season at Nesper's Wine & Spirits in West Loop Shopping Center. Great spirits, big smiles, and holiday cheer all around. From all of us at Nesper's, Merry Christmas.
Hey, it's Ian with Central Comfort Air, wishing you a cozy, warm Christmas and a new year full of happiness and comfort. From all of us, stay safe, stay warm, and enjoy the season.
Everyone at Big Lakes wishes you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
From all of us at Manhattan Broadcasting, we wish you and yours a happy holiday and a joyous new year.
This is Congressman Derek Schmidt. I'm proud to have helped deliver the largest tax cut in history for working families. So working Kansans, keep more of what you earn. We reduced taxes on tips and overtime for hourly workers, eliminated taxes on Social Security for most senior citizens, expanded the child tax credit to help working parents, protected taxpayers by fighting waste, fraud, and abuse in taxpayer-funded public assistance programs, all to make daily life more affordable. According to the Nonpartisan Tax Foundation, the typical family in our district will save more than $2,000 per year. But we're not done. I'm Congressman Derek Schmidt. Now that the government shutdown is over, I'm renewing my commitment to a better future for our communities and our country. That's where I need your input. Visit me online at schmidt.house.gov to learn more and let me know what's on your mind.
Paid for with official funds from the office of Derek Schmidt.
Blueville Nursery's Horticulture Hints radio show comes to your radio every Friday morning at 10 a.m. We will discuss timely gardening and landscape topics to help you keep your lawn and garden in tip-top shape. Blueville Nursery has been your local landscape service and garden store for over 50 years, and we want to share our time-tested techniques with you. From vegetable gardening, spring and summer annuals, to shade trees and lawn care, we'll cover it all. You're welcome to call into the show to ask questions that apply to your own landscape or garden. Stay tuned to Blueville Nursery's Horticulture Hints radio show every Friday at 10 a.m. right here on News Radio KMAN.
Get great gifts for the workshop at Menards. Know you're getting the job done right with a level from Johnson Level. They offer a variety of levels, laser levels, and layout tools for incredible accuracy. Get a 24-inch I-beam level. On sale now through December 24th. Hurry, Christmas is almost here. View our selection of Johnson Level tools on Menards.com. Plus, check out the weekly flyer for many other great deals happening this week.
Warm season's greetings to you all from Menards.
KS State Bank wants to be your bank. Find the solutions you've been looking for at ksstate.bank. KS State Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. KMAN, Manhattan. Now, the latest news from the News Radio KMAN and Manhattan Mercury Newsroom.
Coming up, authorities recover drugs, weapons, and explosives from a Wamego area home. Riley County commissioners make some budget amendments and a new director of bands named to K-State. Hello, I'm Brandon Peoples with a check of local news. Authorities say a search warrant issued at a home in rural Wamego last week led to the discovery of drugs, weapons, and explosives and resulted in one arrest. According to a news release Monday, deputies from the Wabaunsee County Sheriff's Office and Kansas Highway Patrol searched a home in the 38,000 block of Wabaunsee Road in the early morning hours of December 10th for Michael Anthony Carver, a wanted felon. However, authorities were not able to locate him there. The home's resident, 43-year-old Caleb Fair, was arrested on felony drug, weapons, and explosives charges. He was later released on a $75,000 bond. Now, during their search, officers did discover illegal contraband, which prompted a second search warrant, and they later recovered multiple firearms, including an illegally shortened 12-gauge shotgun with no visible serial number. Officers also recovered suspected methamphetamine and drug paraphernalia, as well as precursor chemicals and 2 devices consistent with homemade explosives. Now, those devices were rendered safe and turned over to the Kansas State Fire Marshal's office for further review. Investigators say Carver is not believed to be in Wabaunsee County, though they are asking for anyone with information on his whereabouts to contact the Wabunsee County Sheriff's Office. Riley County Commissioners Monday approved nearly $4 million in budget amendments for the 2025 budget. Commissioners made the amendments due to expenses in 14 budget funds coming in higher than initially estimated. Budget and Finance Officer Brittany Phillips.
When we work through that process, we're looking at the beginning cash balance or any other revenues that we didn't previously budget for that, may have come in higher, and any unprecedented costs that came throughout the year that may have possibly gotten us close to that budget authority that was originally passed.
Now, the adjustment Monday has no impact on the overall mill levy. Phillips says each year when commissioners approve the budget, they're also basing it on an estimate of where those expenditures are going to come in.
By the time we get to December, we actually know what hard costs are looking like, and so then at that point we can have a better estimate or finalized number on that budget authority.
The adjustment is about $3.8 million more in budget authority. Some of the largest adjustments, she says, were noted in the disaster, solid waste, and community corrections funds. A water leak at the Riley County Historical Museum caused some damage to part of the museum's permanent collection. Director Catherine Hensler told county commissioners Monday the leak was discovered November 17th in the museum's HVAC system, which runs directly through a permanent storage area.
The leak started over the weekend, and of course we don't have curatorial staff there over the weekend, so it could have occurred up to 48 hours of leak in that space before we detected it on Monday morning.
Now, she says one section of shelving containing textiles and sewing machines sustained water damage. Staff were able to remove the items and laid them out to dry. The leak was repaired within about 20 minutes of being reported.
We do know that some things are going to need to be deaccessioned as they've been damaged beyond use. The majority can be reused. Some might need some minor conservation.
None of the items require professional off-site restoration, according to Hensler, but she did say a damage estimate is still pending. Alex Wimmer has been named the next director of bands at K-State. The current assistant professor and associate director of bands, Wimmer, will succeed the retiring Dr. Frank Trace effective June 7th. Trace has led the band for 33 years. Wimmer is a Gretna, Nebraska native and has been with the Pride of Wildcat Land for 13 years as a graduate student, assistant director, and associate director of bands. He currently directs the Wind Symphony, the Cat Band, Volleyball Band, and also assists with the Pride of Wildcat Land along with the Pub Crawl bands. And some good news from the Sunset Zoo. Staff are celebrating an early Christmas surprise. Zookeepers say Kivoli, a black and white colobus monkey, gave birth overnight on December 7th. Cameras showed the baby arrived around 1:30 a.m. Both mom and baby are doing well, with Kivoli proving to be an attentive first-time mother. The father, Bobby, and another female, Azizi, are also helping protect and care for the newborn. I'm Brandon Peoples, News Radio KMAN.
News Radio KMAN weather.
52 and sunny skies with winds gusting to the southwest around 10 miles an hour currently in Manhattan. Tonight, cloudy skies and a low of around 29. Patchy fog in the morning on Wednesday, otherwise sunny with a high near 56 with winds that could gust as high as 20 miles an hour to the south. Wednesday night, increasing clouds with a low of around 38 with light winds to the south around 10 to 15 miles an hour. Thursday, sunny with a high near 49.
Weather on News Radio KMAN is brought to you by Sunset Zoo. Memberships are a fun way to experience the zoo all year long and will make great gifts this holiday season.
I don't know if y'all saw this today. There was a Golden State Warriors fan who emailed the owner of the Royals. Of the Warriors and said, please do something about this team. What does Steph need to do every night? Drop 50 points and some more stuff about the Warriors stuff. Apparently the owner reached back out to him, emailed him and said, you can't be as frustrated as me. I'm working on it and some other Warriors stuff. I thought that was interesting. We saw a literal conversation between just a regular old fan and the owner of the Golden State Warriors. That's pretty cool.
That reminds me, Gene Taylor's come and done some talks to some of my classes at K-State. And one time he mentioned all of the emails, all the hate emails he got about moving the game to Ireland. And he's just like, believe me, I've heard about it in my inboxes, guys. Like,
that's funny. Welcome back to the game. Cole Betchendorf, Toby Hamas to my right, Gavin Hyatt across the glass as we take you into hour 2. Mitch is out for today. Some quick things to note before we head into hour number 2. Malik Knowles just found this out moments ago as signed to the CFL, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So Malik Knowles going to be in the CFL. And also I saw this earlier on social media of Ivana Skekic, the incoming Serbian, not transfer, but pickup signee for K-State women's basketball. The center is in Manhattan, apparently, and will be wearing number 99 when she plays in the second semester. Some much-needed height for the K-State women's basketball. That's kind of the one thing that they lack. They're obviously, other than maybe experience, they just don't have a ton of size on that roster.
We mentioned Kennedy Taylor earlier and just the NCAA and the disaster. Yeah. They were really banking on getting Kennedy Taylor in the lineup this year, and just it didn't work out.
Fun name to say, by the way, too. Skekic. I love a good Serbian name. I mean, I know Doncic isn't from Serbia, but he's up in there in the Balkan area of Europe. So there's some fantastic. I mean, Jokic, Djokovic. There's some great. I love a good Serbian last name. I don't know.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to say it recently, but Kostic.
We'll just keep up moving on that topic. Still to come in hour number 2, injury to insult for the Chiefs. Usually, insult to injury. This time the other way around to the Chiefs on Sunday. We'll briefly go over K-State women's basketball picking up a big win, moving over 500 before they head to Big 12 play. This Saturday, actually, I believe, is their first conference game of the season. And then, of course, wrapping everything up with Ask Us Anything. But first on the docket, going over some football news from the past couple of days. And the breaking news from earlier just this afternoon is Jace Brown is going to be heading into the transfer portal. And we talked about it at the beginning of hour 1. This one hurts a little bit. Played some of the sad violin music because Jace Brown is a fantastic wide receiver. He has been an extremely dynamic playmaker for K-State over the past couple of seasons, and to see him go, that one hurts. That one hurts to me as much as really any transfer over the last couple of seasons. I mean, you could say Will Howard, but that was kind of the stars were just aligning where Avery needed to take the helm of the team, and Will had obviously on to bigger and better things with winning a national championship with Ohio State. There have been some shocking ones. I mean, the Kobe Savage departure is one that comes to mind immediately in terms of one that was a surprising one. I mean, that was strictly about getting a bag at Oregon. Hey, Oregon's got a bag to give. But, and it's not even necessarily the most surprising thing in the world. Coaching change. This was rumored last year. I remember before the Iowa State game, people thought he was going to... It was announced he was transferring before that game had even taken place. He ends up playing that game, has a couple of touchdowns in Ames, but you flash forward 365 days later. I don't know exactly when the Iowa State game, that was like around November 29th last year, so 380-ish days later, and he is officially in the transfer portal. You asked me during the break, is there any chance he comes back? And I would say probably not. I mean, that feels... This has already been rumored, and now the decision comes. And maybe it's just he needs to have more conversations with Colin when he gets here, and maybe that's a possibility, but I would not bank on it. You just have to... It's tough to lose him. Dynamic receiver, and the wide receiver room is going to have some holes to fill for sure.
Yeah, this is a guy, that's from Florida, so it's not necessarily a surprise to see him maybe explore his options closer to home when you have many powers out there like Miami, FSU. Even if some of those programs have had down years recently, Florida, he's going to have opportunities to play at a high level, whether that's the SEC, Big Ten, and you just got to be hopeful. You mentioned Kobe Savage, that there's no burned bridges, I guess, with K-State as far as the transfer portal goes. You hope that Jace Brown finds somewhere that's a good fit for him, and also we can just remember him as a record breaker in purple.
You have any thoughts on Jace Brown? Feel free to get into our text line at 785-537-1350, and we'll address those as they come in. But that's the news for today for K-State. Jace Brown entering the portal. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of names to follow, probably some that you will expect, some you will not expect. I don't think it does us any good to sit and speculate about who's going to stay, about who's going to return. I've already seen people saying, well, this means Avery's gone. Well, this means Avery's staying. I think we just need to take it day by day, and even maybe more than that, hour by hour, and whoever is on the team is on the team, and whoever isn't, and just take it in stride and do that to the best of our capabilities. Again, it's not exactly surprising when you lose a guy to the portal, given this is the head coach of your football team is no longer there. The offensive coordinator is no longer here. The wide receivers coach is no longer here. So that's a lot of familiar faces that are no longer with the program, to where it shouldn't be a shock when you lose a player as good as Jace, even though it's still a little bit surprising, and for sure it's not ideal.
Yeah, and we looked at it earlier. His main recruiters when he came to K-State were Van Malone and Thad Ward, who was the wide receivers coach before Matthew Middleton. So it's not really a surprise. The guys that he wasn't recruited by Colin Klein per se. I mean, he played a year. There was a year of overlap, I believe, with the two of them, but it's not a surprise to see someone maybe want to go closer to home for their final year of college.
So Jace Brown into the transfer portal. One flip that K-State picked up yesterday, actually, this was their second, I believe, flip of an Iowa State commit during the 2026 recruiting cycle, so that's always fun. And it's another Kansas kid. They only had 2 in the 2026 class so far, but Arlie Morrell, the tight end out of Pratt, Kansas, over in the CKL, the Greenbacks. He was originally committed to Colorado State. He then committed to Iowa State in early December. This was December 3rd. And then obviously a couple of days later, basically, Matt Campbell is out for the Cyclones and in Happy Valley with Penn State. He was left out of his national letter of intent. He was then offered by K-State just 2 days after that, and then signed yesterday. So it was a very quick-moving process, and this is all from our friend Drew Galloway of K-State Online. Go check them out. They have tons of fantastic information. He said that the Wildcats have been recruiting Morrell for 2.5 years before offering him, so this has been a long working commitment to get him into the class. Third Kansas commit, as I said, alongside Mill Valley offensive lineman LaMarcus Barber and Blue Valley West athlete Lawson McGraw. One thing that's interesting to think about potentially a little bit here, with Arlie being a tight end, you wonder if this potentially changes Lawson. Lawson listed as an athlete. He can do a little bit of everything, and that's what he was. He kind of filled in wherever he needed to for that Blue Valley West team. Does he now change positions potentially, or do they get 2 tight ends for this class? He always thought, and we've heard this from Drew over the course of the last couple of months from Drew, and saying that, you know, the goal was to get Ian Premer out of Great Bend, obviously. That's the premier player in the state of Kansas for this recruiting cycle, and you miss on that. He goes to Notre Dame, and that kind of led to Lawson McGraw changing that position to being not changing this position because he played tight end at Blue Valley West, but sticking for that for his commitment. You wonder if Arlie changes that at all.
Yeah, and you mentioned just being a Kansas kid. K-State didn't necessarily crush this class in state as they have in years past, and I do think it's kind of funny. You look at KU had been the team that won this recruiting battle in Kansas, or not this specific one to this player, but just in general, the Kansas class this year. KU had done a good job. Then they lose J.J. Dunnigan. Manhattan's J.J. Dunnigan goes to Miami. Now K-State's kind of gaining ground, and not that they needed to, I guess, because they had great commits out of state, but it is nice to see K-State kind of regain ground back to where they had been against KU in state recruiting.
And it's commit number 25 for the Cats. Morrell also averaged 20 and 11 for Greenback basketball. I texted my brother, who just graduated from high school last year, so we actually played against Morrell on the basketball floor. I said, is he good? He averaged 20 and 11 for the Greenbacks, and he said, yeah, he's pretty good, but he was upset with him because he did not get first team all CKL his senior year. He lost it to Arlie Morrell, who was in the CKL alongside Heston. So that's the most recent note for K-State recruiting. Number 25 for the Cats. This is just, I watched a little bit of his film, and it wasn't like I was sitting down and grinding the tape, but I watched just his huddle highlight film. Seems like he's got some serious yak ability at that tight end position, some really strong hands to make contested catches. He's got the ability to line up out wide or in line. That could be interesting when you have a lack of wide receivers and you just lost your best one to the transfer portal. Could that potentially signify a change? We don't know. He's probably going to be a tight end. He's 6'6", he's big. And then at least at the 3A level, he was too fast for linebackers and too big for defensive backs. So that's you could say that about a lot of tight ends, I guess, probably at a tight end level, but that was certainly true about Arlie Morrell. So 25th member of the 2026 class and the second of the Colin Klein era, I think, technically.
I think it's the first Colin Klein commit, because it was still
Because it was
technically
the flip
Kleiman.
on Iowa State Day. Yeah, you're right. So that does that for Arlie Morrell, the tight end out of Pratt. We just had a text come through. Wasn't Brown Avery's roommate? So what does that say about leaving unless Avery is going to? That was the thing that I saw being thrown out. And I think what I would say is just we don't know until we know. And that's in this era of, it's a fair comment to say. I think those two have been extremely tight throughout their entire college process. I think Avery has made decisions that have been in line with Jace in the past. We'll see what happens. I would just say Colin Klein and Avery are also, I mean, you've heard Colin Klein talk about it. That's his guy. That's the guy who Avery even said specifically was very heavily involved in his decision to go to K-State was Colin Klein, because Colin Klein was there. He said, okay, I want to make this commitment. I want to be at home at K-State. So I 100% agree with what you're saying. But again, it just goes back to the entire process of, in this era, you kind of just have to take it day by day. And the next one's from the same listener. Avery, the leader, can't keep his roomie here. It's a little disturbing. Our so-called leader can't keep his top receiver. I hope this means he is going to have to run. And again, I see that point as well. But again, eventually, and as close as they're going to be, and they are very good friends, very close friends. Eventually, you're going to have to make your own decision. They're not going to be in college for forever. So I get why Jace makes this decision, and whether or not that has any bearing on Avery Johnson's future at K-State, I legitimately have no idea. It could mean nothing. It could mean everything, and we're only going to find out in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I think the relationship you have to point to, value the most, is Avery Johnson and Colin Klein. I think that's kind of what you have to bank on being the most important relationship in this situation. We also saw, Dylan Edwards and Avery Johnson were childhood best friends, but they each had to choose different paths at different times for Dylan. Of course, that's a completely different situation with Dylan Edwards. But I think when it comes to Jace Brown and Avery Johnson and Avery Johnson, Colin Klein, I think the Avery Johnson-Colin Klein relationship is the one you want to look at as most important.
Another staff addition was also made. I guess retention would be the better way to put it. Buddy Wyatt is back, and I think this is a huge piece of the staff for Colin Klein to retain. And it's also important to note that he is not listed as the defensive ends coach. He's now just the defensive line coach. He was the D-ends coach. Now, as a whole, the defensive line. Defensive ends have probably been the most consistent position group outside of running backs. Those two would be 1A and 1B, honestly, in my opinion. I think you could probably even throw running backs into the mix, and D-ends might still have that case to be made. During his time at K-State, he came over with Chris Kleiman. There's been 3 Big 12 Defensive Linemen of the Year, Brendan Mott and Felix Anyudike Uzama twice, 5 first-team honors, and I'm going to go through some of these notable players that have received Big 12 honors during Buddy's time at K-State so far. Wyatt Hubert, that was 2019 and 2020. He was a first-team All-Big 12 in both of those years, and the only unanimous in 2020 on the defensive side of the ball. Reggie Walker was a 2019 honorable mention All-Big 12. Already mentioned FAU, Defensive Lineman of the Year in both 2021 and 22. Obviously, first-team both years. Also, the Defensive Player of the Year in 2022, a first-team All-American, Team USA Today. If we went through all of FAU's accomplishments at K-State, we would be sitting here for quite a bit. Khalid Duke, 2023 second team, also received votes for the Defensive Lineman of the Year. Brendan Mott, 2023 honorable mention, obviously the Defensive Lineman of the Year last season, as well as a first-team member. And then this season, honorable mentions, Chidi Obiizor. You could kind of count him as an indoor tackle, but predominantly, I think, taking a majority of his snaps at the end spot, and then Cody Steffelbein are rounding out that list. 10 total honors that those players received, so quite the resume for Coach Wyatt here at K-State.
Yeah, and I think some people might point to the fact that the K-State defensive line maybe wasn't what it wanted to be this year or what it should have been. Across the board, K-State didn't really meet expectations, so you could think, man, why do we want this guy back? But you have to look at the career body of work, and you also have to account for the fact this year, Toby Usuns, I'm going to butcher the name, but the fact that Toby was out this year definitely did not do him and that defensive line any favors.
And you saw, he was playing fantastic before he got injured, so 100%. I think Coach Wyatt has done a fantastic job. You've seen a great product on the field, and I think having that leadership back on the defensive side of the ball is going to be important. 2 more things to note for the coaching staffs. Still haven't heard anything on the Brian LePack front. in terms of retention or leaving, and also same thing for Steve Stannard, linebackers coach. So those two are kind of still up in the air, but you would assume, and it's the same thing for Buddy Wyatt, when you weren't let go or just had that, whatever that conversation was where we're just not going to keep you anymore, those three were not mentioned, and we've seen the first one officially is going to be back in Buddy Wyatt. And again, if you didn't know, Colin Klein's a busy man. He was recently talking at a press conference for Texas A&M, actually just earlier this afternoon. The week one CFP, or first round of CFP, he was asked about coaches potentially coming with him at today's press conference.
Hey, Colin, there have been reports about tight ends coach Christian Ellsworth following you over to K-State. Is that true? And just are there any other guys you expect to kind of follow you over there?
There's a lot of things in flux right now, and probably can't comment too much on this at this moment in time. But as things become clearer kind of through this process, it'll hopefully take shape.
Look at the media trained answer from my goat. I mean, he is already firing on all cylinders. We don't know anything about the rest of the staff that's going to take place, but it's going to be interesting to see who does, because I think it's going to, you've already seen some really fun names. Trey Scott as GM, Stanton Weber as special teams, and then Buddy Wyatt being retained. There's a lot of fun names that are being thrown around too.
Yeah, when you look at the name that was asked about there in the question, Christian Ellsworth, Texas A&M's tight ends coach, it's reported that he will be following Klein in the move to Manhattan. It would be a return to Manhattan for Ellsworth. He started at K-State as a grad assistant, but he also coached quarterbacks. He was an offensive analyst for quarterbacks at Nebraska before he went to A&M. So this is a guy, even if he's coming to K-State, it doesn't mean he's being the tight ends coach. So we mentioned Brian LePack. He was the offensive line coach for K-State this year. He could be making a move back to tight ends where he was before the offensive line when he took over for Connor Riley. But there's definitely options for where these guys that haven't been announced as being retained or let go reportedly. So you just have to look at, there's plenty of options. And Colin Klein, you just got to trust him that he knows these guys and he knows the right fits for his program.
One more text to get back to on the Avery / Jace Brown talk. Avery isn't going anywhere. Jace is just checking out what kind of money he can get on the open market. That seems like a pretty good take of what's happening, because I think Jace could get some serious money at a contender. I mean, when you look at the transfer portal, he's got to be one of the top guys out there to get.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mentioned it earlier. This is a guy that bleeds purple. He's from Florida, but he loved Manhattan. He really embraced the K-State community. So I don't think there's any bad blood like he was running to get out of Manhattan. So I think it's just him exploring his options, seeing what's best for him. And I would be surprised if Avery is also testing the waters, I guess. I think I would trust that Avery wants to be in Manhattan one more year.
We owe you a break. When we come back. Injury to insult for the Chiefs on Sunday.
I started the Maine Frisbee Golf Club at Cornell.
The game.
This is madness.
News Radio KMAN.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Dollars spent locally today help build a better community for tomorrow.
WTC Fiber Internet is on its way to all of Manhattan. Sign your home or business up today at WTCKS.com. No contracts, no data caps, or overage fees. Fast, local, reliable. WTC Fiber Internet. Sign up today at WTCKS.com.
It's time for spring cleanup. Find what you need in the brand you love at Midwest Ace Hardware. Make yard cleanup easy with Ego or Stihl trimmers and blowers. Fertilize and seed your lawn with Scotts. And enjoy cookouts all summer long with Traeger, Blackstone, Weber, or Big Green Egg. Ace is the place with the helpful hardware folks.
For a once-in-a-lifetime experience, engagement ring shopping simply can't be duplicated on a computer screen. At Fifely Jewelers, you'll be pleasantly surprised by our pricing compared to buying online, and we offer financing. Plus, you'll have peace of mind by shopping locally with Fifely Jewelers.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Find more great local businesses plus special deals and offers when you keep it local on our website.
At Stormont Vale Health, our patients are our neighbors and our communities are home.
We invest in your health and our community by bringing high-quality healthcare closer to home. From our Wamego Clinic to our new campus in Manhattan and the Flint Hills Hospital in Junction City. Our partnerships with organizations like the Mayo Clinic and the Children's Miracle Network bring top-notch expertise to our region. We take pride in local collaboration to stay connected to our communities. Visit StormontVale.org.
Stormont Vale Health, high-quality care closer to home.
At ESB Financial, we think it makes sense to pay you. That's right, get paid 5.04% annual percentage yield on balances up to $20,000 with our free Kasasa Cash checking account. We'll even refund your ATM fees nationwide, and the best part is there's no monthly service charges or minimum balances to keep. All you have to do to earn your rewards are a few simple things each month. The best part? These things make banking easier. Visit esbfinancial.com to learn more. Special terms may apply. ESB Financial, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
I'm PJ Glasser, host of Send It In, here to help you beat the books with the BetMGM Network. The Carolina Panthers are a 3-point underdog on Sunday to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a massive game with first place in the NFC South on the line. Carolina is 4-1 this year at home when they are an underdog. The Bucs are really struggling, losing 6 of their last 8 games. I think this is good value with the Panthers at +3. I'm PJ Glasser, host of Send It In on the BetMGM Network. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetMGM app today and please gamble responsibly.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp today. We have representatives nationwide who will explain the InventHelp process step by step. Over 10,000 patents have been secured through InventHelp's patent referral services. The InventHelp databank includes thousands of companies who have agreed to review new ideas. We've been helping inventors since 1984. Let's help you next. Get started today.
Call 1-800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380. Again, 1-800-217-4380.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
The Wildcats.
3 wide open again, and it's perfect again.
Hit the court.
To the rim, layup good.
Right here.
Yeah. How about these Cats?
Be here every game as the Wildcats pounce the hardwood all season long.
3 seconds, 2, 1, buzzer, ball game. K-State wins it.
On your home for Kansas State Wildcat basketball, the K-State Sports Network from Learfield. News Radio, KMAN.
I'm Gavin Hyatt with a Game Sports Update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. K-State wide receiver Jace Brown will enter the transfer portal, Pete Thamel announced on Tuesday afternoon. The star wide receiver has racked up nearly 2,000 yards in his time with the Wildcats, as well as 14 touchdowns on 115 catches. His 712 receiving yards led K-State in the 2025 season. K-State football head coach Colin Klein announced that Buddy Wyatt will be retained on staff to coach the defensive line ahead of the 2026-27 season. Wyatt, who has been at K-State since 2019, has had 3 players receive Big 12 Defensive Lineman of the Year honors during his time with the Wildcats. A former defensive lineman himself in college at TCU in the late 80s, Wyatt spent 5 years with Klein at K-State when Colin was on staff. For the second time during the 2026 recruiting cycle, K-State has flipped an Iowa State commit on the gridiron. Hailing from Pratt, Kansas, tight end Arlie Morrell has committed to the Wildcats. On 3 has Morrell listed as the 10th best player from Kansas and the 66th best tight end overall. He held offers from Arizona, Iowa State, Colorado State, and more. Morrell is commitment number 25 in K-State's 2026 recruiting class. K-State volleyball added a Kansas native to the roster out of the portal. Camden Stuckey, who is from Mays, Kansas, spent the last 2 seasons at Tennessee, where she saw limited action thanks to one set redshirt season and an injury in the 2025 season.
Welcome back to the game here on News Radio KMAN, brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. By the way, tomorrow evening, Christmas trivia at Bottle Cap Sports Bar. I don't know if that would be my best area, but I'll tell you what. You know what is my best area? Is down in some tacos and some patty melts at Bottle Caps.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, that sounds like a fun time.
That is tomorrow from 7 to 9 and also on the 20th. And because I am dumb and don't know, is that what, Friday? Is the 20th Friday?
Oh, that's a great question.
I can't do the math that quickly in my head. Someone help me out.
20th is Saturday, so 19th.
20th is Saturday. That we have a band at Bottle Caps as well. Cassette 88 from 8 to 11 in the evening, and also some Christmas Eve karaoke from 7 to 10. Because who doesn't love some karaoke? I love some karaoke. My go-to song is "Hey There Delilah," Plain White Tees.
That's a
fantastic little tune. I'm on the guitar. Come on now. Anyways, we have sadder things to talk about because not only have the Chiefs' playoff chances expired, so has Patrick Mahomes' left knee. It's a torn ACL, a torn LCL. He's already had surgery on it. That was yesterday, actually, is when he had surgery. It was Dr. Cooper performed it on it. He is the head team physician for the Dallas Cowboys. He's done a ton of notable athletes' ACL / just knee injuries, Rashee Rice being one of them, repaired his torn. I think he tore his LCL last year in that impact. So that was maybe my first question for you, Toby, is where were you when Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL and walked off the field, and then 3 plays later, Gardner Minshew threw the game-losing interception?
Yeah, I'm not necessarily proud to admit it, but I was asleep. I was napping. I had I don't know what it was. It was the post-lunch kind of lull on Sunday, and the Chiefs game was not fun to watch by any means. And I dozed off, took a quick nap on the couch, and then woke up, saw the Chiefs lost. I'm like, oh, dang, what happened? Opened my phone, opened Twitter, and then I see the heartbreaking news that no Chiefs fan, the news that every Chiefs fan had been afraid to see for the last 8 years since Patrick Mahomes took over, just that torn ACL news. That is the last thing I wanted to see when I woke up from my little Sunday nap.
You know, I was meal prepping. I was in the kitchen. I didn't want to watch this game super closely because I didn't want to get too upset for a game that ultimately I figured in my head probably wasn't going to matter too much. So I was keeping a very cool head working in the kitchen, and I lean over, and I see Mahomes down, and I see the replay, and it doesn't look great. And I didn't fall to my knees, but it wasn't like the Jace Brown reaction where I almost fell over in the K-Man studio over there about an hour and a half ago. But I was pretty sad to see that my GOAT, the greatest football player to play the quarterback position in my opinion, was injured. And honestly, I think in the grand scheme of things, this, not for Patrick Mahomes as an individual, for the future of the Kansas City Chiefs, maybe this is a hot take, I think this could be a good thing in the long run, because what's going to happen is they're going to lose to the Tennessee Titans on Sunday, because you're going to see how much of this team is, we're going to hop on your back 15, please take us to another win in the win column, and they're not going to be able to do it with Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, and you add in the offensive line injuries, where just the team has been beaten down all year. I mean, gosh, their chances are not good. You're going to see
how bad the Chiefs roster has been constructed, and also how badly right now they are decimated by injury in these last 3 games. I don't know if they'll lose to the Raiders, because the Raiders are just awful, but they're going to get blown out by the Broncos at home. There's no doubt in my mind. And I think they're legitimately going to lose on the road against the Tennessee Titans this week.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, but go for it. Let's get a higher pick. Yeah.
And that's why I say this could be good for the future of this team for a couple of reasons, and let me get into those. And I'm kind of workshopping this right now as we go along. First being, as you just mentioned, we're going to raise that draft stock. We're going to get that higher and higher. This is the first year they're not picking in the 30s, and it's going to be borderline top 10. I don't know if we can pull up like a current NFL 2026 draft order as of today, trying to pull that up as we currently speak.
It's like 12th or 13th, I think, something like that.
That sounds about right as we're scrolling down over here. So right now they are 13th. The Vikings play the Giants next week, so go Minnesota. We need 9 to show up for J.J. McCarthy and to beat down the Giants. And then the Dolphins are right in there as well. They're playing the Bengals. The Falcons are in the mix as well. So we need some teams around the Chiefs to do well. We need the Chiefs, not even need, I just think they're going to. They're not even going to try to lose against the Titans. I think they're just going to lose to the Tennessee Titans, continue to rise that draft stock. And I think the other thing, so to recap, point number 1, higher draft pick, something you haven't seen in a very long time for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, the last time they picked inside or near the top 10 would have been Patrick Mahomes in 2017, and that was because they traded up. I couldn't tell. It was probably like the 2015 season after they went 9-7, I think, in 2014 would have been the last time they had a pick probably inside the top 20 without having to trade inside.
Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, it's been some long draft nights. It's been some late draft nights recently.
And here's the sub point, 2-point number one is I get to go to sleep at like 8:30.
Yeah. And they sped up the rounds this year too. I think they cut off some time. So, yeah.
And then point number two, and this is maybe the more overarching and maybe more serious point is, I think because of how bad I think the Chiefs are going to look these next 2 weeks, they're going to have to do some serious. Andy Reid and Brett Veach will have to do some looking in the mirror to see. I think this is the bill, and this is people have been saying this. The bill is due for the dynasty, and you've seen what are going to be the consequences of trying to do something that no team has ever done before. And I don't fault anyone for doing it, but for them going all in to where they wanted to win the three-peat and get 3 in a row, they did some things for the future. They also did some things to the roster as it's currently constructed where they're going to have to do some, not a rebuild, but a retooling of the roster. And it's going to be on full display in these last 3 weeks, which is why I think it could be a good thing. I mean, you already heard Andy Reid say, I should have pulled the audio. He was on his, he was talking to the media today, as he often does as he does every week during I think it's the Monday after their game, and talked about, basically said the same thing. We're going to have to retool some stuff because we just haven't been getting it done. And that's been throughout the entire seasons. It's, we're going to take a look at this thing. We're going to fix this. We're going to fix that. At some point, you actually do have to fix that. And whether it's schematically, and we don't need to go into that because, again, Andy Reid has forgotten more stuff about football yesterday than I know and have accumulated in my entire life. But especially in the front office. But even you look at Steve Spagnuolo, he has an archetype for defensive ends, and it's the ones that are currently on the roster who have zero bend. They're the power guys with no speed. And look at the result. You see a terrible defensive line. It's just Chris Jones, please save us, and George Karlaftis maybe occasionally get a pressure or two when you're playing the third-string left tackle on the left side, and Chris Jones is getting triple-teamed on the right side. So there's going to have to be some serious questions that are asked about this team moving forward. Obviously, what they've done, you cannot take that away from them. We have been spoiled as Chiefs fans to see really one of, if not the greatest, 7-year run in NFL history. And that era, that chapter of the Chiefs is coming to a close. And now it's a matter of how does the front office rebuild? How does the coaching staff evolve? And can they do that moving forward?
Yeah, and it kind of mirrors, I've seen a lot of people point to this, it really mirrors the Tom Brady Patriots dynasty arc. Tom Brady also suffered a torn ACL kind of in the middle of the dynasty, and they had to retool and reset their dynasty. I think this could be an interesting talking point for us maybe in the future, talking about the Chiefs, is who do you want coming back? Like, who are the untouchables in all three phases? I know we talked about special teams. Matt Araiza is the only guy we want coming back.
Don't get me started.
Special teams is a disaster for this team. But, I mean, you have to look at offensively. You got your franchise left tackle who you just drafted last year. You got Mahomes when he's back healthy. But there's question marks all over this team for who do you really want a part of the future of this team.
And that's the good news is there are some serious, I mean, there are some easy yeses. Like, obviously, Patrick Mahomes, you're not getting rid of him anytime soon. Basically, if you let him leave Kansas City, you have done something extremely wrong at some point down the line. Josh Simmons, as you mentioned, left tackle of the future, of the current and of the future. You got your right guard locked up for a few years. You got your center locked up. And then you move to wide receiver. A core that you thought was pretty solid. There have been some serious problems this year, and sure, you can blame some of the coaching for that, but also there have been some really bad drops from a guy like Rashee Rice. There's been some, just a lot of not great things that have gone down over the court, whether it's, not running routes extremely hard over the middle of the field or... Again, I think a lot of this you can boil back to coaching and the fact that they're being coached by a wide receivers coach who leapt from the high school ranks immediately to the Kansas City Chiefs. Granted, he did have some time as a graduate assistant with the Jayhawks, but I think there's been continuing year after year, these last 3 years specifically, basically since Matt Nagy has been the OC, where you've seen continued issues that really haven't been addressed or solved. You look at the running back room, I don't know if I care to keep a single running back that is on this roster outside of Rashard Smith for next season. I think they should get an entirely new running back room, maybe Kareem Hunt for short yardage situations because he's a beast at that. You go to the defensive side of the ball, defensive line, keep George, keep Chris. Felix, I guess we'll see what he can do coming back off of the injury. Get rid of everyone else. I mean, Mike Pennell doesn't need to be in Kansas City anymore. He's old. He can retire, and I'm okay with that. Mike Dana, good luck somewhere else. Yeah. Charles Omenihu, good luck somewhere else.
He's got a couple of rings. These guys all have rings.
They do.
They can go.
And they've contributed. These guys have been good players at points. It's just to a point where there needs to be evaluation and a serious retooling, a rebranding of the Kansas City Chiefs. It's 2.0. It has to be the mindset for Brett Veach, for the front office, for Andy Reid. It has to be the new era. You're not going to be winning Super Bowls again with the roster as it's currently constructed. And you've seen that. They've been not good enough. There have been plenty of games where they've been in them. They just haven't been good enough. There's been games against... you can go back to game number 1 against the Chargers. They were not good enough to beat the Chargers in week 1. They got out-physicaled by Los Angeles on their own home field on Sunday in the cold. They should dominate that game with their physicality. Problem is they're slow on the defensive side of the ball. They're not good enough. They weren't good enough to beat the Cowboys. They weren't good enough to beat the Texans. Like, this is just, there has to be, at a certain point, you see the writing on the wall, and you evaluate that, and you move forward. The good thing is, I think Andy Reid is already kind of trending towards there. I think he's seen that. And what he said at that press conference on Monday, that moved me because he doesn't usually talk like that. It's usually very close to the vest, and this group of guys will figure it out going forward. We're going to need to retool some things, and that was encouraging.
Yeah, and I want to throw this out there before we move on from the Chiefs. Do you think there's a potential that Tyreek Hill returns to Kansas City in the version 2 of the Chiefs dynasty that we hope emerges?
If he wants to, if he's healthy after that brutal leg break for the Dolphins earlier this season, and if he wants to be like a $7 million a year wide receiver, by all means, I'll look him back with open arms. I miss Tyreek.
I feel like Tom Brady had these guys, these veteran receivers throughout his time in New England that just kind of came and went. I could be wrong there, but I just feel like Tom Brady had a bunch of...
Well, really, where they had a lot of their success was hitting in the draft with guys like Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski. I don't think Danny Amendola started with the Patriots. I think that was his second team after the Rams, if memory serves, but he was really solid for them for a couple of years. Wes Welker, I can't remember if he was a Bronco first or a Patriot first, but he was in that mix as well. So there was certainly a lot of talented wide receivers that they had in that second era, as you're saying, of the Patriots. Julian Edelman, didn't he win the Super Bowl MVP in 2017?
Yeah, I believe that's his case for the Hall of Fame. That's what people point to when they think Julian Edelman could be a Hall of Famer.
So you saw how the Patriots are able to do it, and I'm not saying it's going to be easy. And I'm not saying it's going to be fun necessarily, but I think this team is at a juncture where it's time to reevaluate, and I think Patrick Mahomes' injury, as terrible as it was and as sucky as it is, will help accelerate that process, because otherwise you say keep backpacking us 15 and keep carrying us on your back. You're going to see how bad the Chiefs are next week against the Titans, I think.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't know if they lose to the Titans because the Titans are really bad, and I trust Gardner Minshew enough, but yeah, it's going to be a sight for sore. I don't know. I'm messing that up today, but
not a sight for sore eyes, because that would be a good thing.
Right.
But terrible. We owe you one last break. We'll finish it up with K-State women's basketball, and ask us anything after these words.
Your home for K-State sports.
Line is in. Touchdown, Kansas State in 4 overtime.
This is The Game on News Radio KMAN. ESPN Radio Sports Beat with Freddie Coleman.
Let me say it out loud again, time and time again. I do not advocate for anybody to lose their position, lose their job, lose their status. That's just mean, and I'm not really a mean person. But when it comes to Miami Dolphins, they may have to make a mean decision. not involving their head coach, Mike McDaniel. Maybe he's done enough to keep his job, even though they fired the general manager early this year. But when it comes to his quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, the sands in the hourglass may be finally running out on that involving him. Can he be an accurate passer? I don't think there's any doubt about that. But time and time again, especially in cold weather games against really good defenses or against good defenses in good weather, Tua Tagovailoa does not show up the way the Miami Dolphins need him to show up. Last night, another prime example. A Steelers defense that hasn't been any good all season long shut down a guy that was drafted with one of the top 5 picks in the NFL draft not that long ago. Maybe it's time for Tua to find another address. And if you're the Dolphins, you may need to think about that. In 60 seconds, the NBA Emirates Cup, not bad.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
I was feeling the same way. After 40, the body has less testosterone, and men lose their edge. That's why I take Nugenix Total T2.
That's the testosterone booster, right?
Yes, but Total T2 is their brand new formula that skyrockets nitric oxide levels in as little as 3 hours. Since I started taking it, I've been lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. My energy is way up, and it even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yep, just send a text.
Text AREA to 42424 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the next generation testosterone booster. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text AREA to 42424. That's AREA to 42424. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I'm not just saying it because my New York Knicks are about to play for an in-season Emirates NBA Cup championship against the San Antonio Spurs. I love my Knicks, but I want them to win a world championship, a place that they have not been since 1973, a place in terms of NBA Finals that they have not been since the late 90s, early 2000s. But this Emirates NBA Cup has taken on a life of its own, and it's been a good life. How many of you, and you can raise your hand because I'm raising my hand with you, poo-pooed the whole thing, NBA in-season tournament. What a waste of time. Adam Silver is the commissioner. Boo and hiss, boo and hiss. But the Spurs are excited. The Knicks are excited. And more importantly, Oklahoma City is really upset that they didn't win on Saturday in semifinals. The same with the Orlando Magic. And plus, you got these two teams that met in NBA Finals before. Emirates NBA Cup, take a bow. Not bad. For the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio's Freddie and Harry.
Hiya, Queen of All Knowledge here, reminding you, creeps out there on the internet hack, scam, and trick savvy cyber users every day, but we can fight back. It's as easy as IC3. If you're a victim of online crime, don't give up. Visit IC3, the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. Your tips help the FBI track down cyber criminals around the world. Report your crime to www.ic3.gov today.
If you've missed the Kim Commando Show, you've missed a lot.
Yeah, they forced Claude to unlearn all the information it got from the pirated technology.
And it's a $1.5 billion landmark settlement. A reader from the current newsletter sent me a note. He put his name in. He made $6,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah, not bad for getting a free newsletter.
America's digital goddess,
Kim Commando. Kim Commando. Saturday mornings at 9 on News Radio KMAN. News Radio KMAN. Weather.
Right now in Manhattan, fair skies and 46 degrees with light winds around 7 miles an hour to the southwest. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies and a low of around 29. Sunny with a high near 56 on Wednesday with light winds in the south around 5 to 10 miles an hour. Wednesday night, 20% chance of rain after midnight, otherwise cloudy with a low of around 38 with winds that could gust as high as 30 miles an hour to the south. Thursday, partly sunny with a high near 49.
Wrapping up the game here on News Radio KMAN. Cole Dutchendorf, Toby Hamas to my right, Gavin Hyatt across the glass. Really quickly, K-State women's basketball picking up a big win at Creighton. They are going to be over 500 heading into the Big 12 Conference slate. And oh, by the way, that starts this Saturday. And who do they have on their slate? Number 9 ranked TCU. So both men's and women's teams starting out with a very good team to open up the slate. They're on the road in Fort Worth that Saturday at 4 o'clock. Full transparency, didn't watch a ton of this game because I was watching the Chiefs and I was crying about Patrick Mahomes tearing his ACL. But Nastia Claessens with a 21-point game that ties her season high, 8 of 11 from the field. Also, Jordan Spicer, good to see her out on the floor doing good things again.
Yeah, I mean, this team, we knew coming into the year that they'd be a young team and there'd definitely be some ups and downs, but it's nice to see the potential. These are the kinds of wins that you look back on and point to like, hey, this is where you build from here. This is where you kind of see the potential of the team kind of start to come together.
Hundo P. Hit it, Gavin.
All right, so we mentioned Mahomes' injury. I got to ask you guys, what is your worst injury that you've had in your lifetime?
Sports related? Or just in general?
I just if you have worst broken bone, what is it?
I've only been to the ER one time in my life, and that was in 2025 for slicing the tip of my index finger off when I was trying to peel some potatoes. So that's probably the worst. I had to get it cauterized at the ER room at like midnight. That was during when we got the crazy snowstorm with like 2 feet of snow. Okay. So we had to make that trek out to the ER at like 11 o'clock. I had to call my mom and ask the insurance card that we were under because I'm still under the parents' insurance. And that was my experience in the Big 25.
I'm lucky. I've been blessed. I've never broken anything. I mean, I haven't been touched. I mean, I grew up playing sports, all kinds of sports.
Rolled an ankle or anything?
I mean, maybe at the rec playing basketball. I mean, but no, really, I haven't broken anything, so I've been very blessed.
I think I've been blessed too. I mean, knock on wood. We both got knock on wood here, Toby. But mine is, I mean, it's not a broken bone, but let's see, back in COVID, I was riding a scooter, and it was like an electric scooter, and I was like pushing back, and I was barefoot. Like, what was I thinking? But I was barefoot out in the cement, and I was pushing back, and there was like the steel little thing poking out, and it just sliced the end of my heel. I had to go to the ER, get stitches, like 7 stitches, something like that. So, but besides that, that's
Gavin, how old were you during COVID? Like 5 years ago?
Let's see, that would have been so great.
Like 15?
End of my freshman year, so yeah. That sounds about right.
It seems like we're like different generations, but I'm like what, 2 years older than you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 20, so.
Yeah, but it's just different experiences, you know? Everything, I don't know. Guys, I think we did a decent job today. We held down the fort. No pun intended with Mitch being gone. Hopefully he's back tomorrow, but if not, we'll do the same thing. We'll run it back. We'll have KSO on as per usual. I think we talked to Mitch this past week, so we won't talk to Mitch Holtis tomorrow. But we'll have KSO for you in a full 2-hour show, whether or not Mitch is back. For Gavin across the glass, for Toby Hamas to my right, I've been Cole Metchendorf. We'll see you tomorrow.
My name is Heidi Dixon. Mom, Jackie Wolf, was the patient of interim hospice. I live in Texas, and after Mom got on hospice, when I came back to Texas, interim was a huge lifeline for me in terms of information. Maria, the social worker, was a dream. Going every other week, sharing a picture and what Mom was doing and what was she saying and what was she looking forward to. And she brought us right into the room with Mom. And she said when she was planning to go next, and as a hospice worker in Texas, I was asking our social workers, are we doing this? This is amazing. She was so engaged with Mom and so connected the dots for us. That was invaluable. Aside from Mom's increasing comfort with the pain management provided by hospice, the social work connection and support, those were the two most visible benefits that I continue to be exceedingly grateful for.
We care, we're there. Interim health care.
In Manhattan, building community means more than bricks and beams. It means innovation and partnership. At McCown Gordon Construction, we deliver feature-focused solutions to projects that shape our region. From advanced research labs to vibrant education, healthcare, and community hubs. We're not just building projects, we're building the future of the Flint Hills with unmatched customer experience